Welcome, luxury enthusiasts, to the Luxury Travelers Podcast, hosted by Rodney George. The ultimate passport to opulent destinations, extravagant experiences, and unparalleled indulgence. Whether one is a seasoned jet setter or daydreaming of the next lavish getaway, the Luxury Travelers Podcast has it all covered. So buckle up and prepare for a journey into the lap of luxury. Now, your host.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is when you happen to be seeing this. But I have a very, very special guest this morning. She's not only incredibly knowledgeable with 30 years of experience in the travel industry, she's not only the director, vice president of national accounts for a major company, Abercrombie and Kent, but Kim is my friend. So welcome to the show, Kim.
Thank you, Rodney. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's always a pleasure to talk with you and your clients about luxury travel. I mean, we've got a great job.
Well, I'm not sure where you are because you're like a moving target. I have no idea where you are this morning. I'm not even going to ask unless you want to volunteer that information. But thank you for taking this brief half hour out of your very, very busy schedule. I understand on top of everything else, you're in the process of moving.
Yeah. Yep. Good times. I'm fortunate. I'm on my second week in a row in my home office, which is very unusual. So
wow.
Perfect timing for us to do this.
You must be not answering your calls or anything, because if they knew where you were, they'd get you going again.
Exactly.
Well, Abercrombie and Kent is kind of a pioneer in the travel industry, especially I believe your roots go all the way back to Africa, if I'm not mistaken. So tell us a little bit about Abercrombie and Kent. And I know there's some incredibly exciting things going on that you're going to be able to share with us today, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel so fortunate to work for this amazing company. And you're right. We started in 1962 in Kenya. Jeffrey Kent and his family wanted to, get folks out of the hotels in Nairobi and take them out into the African bush for that, to have them really understand what an authentic African experience is like, and experience Africa, not just a luxury hotel in the city. But he knew that in order to get these five-star folks out of those hotels, they weren't going to go in a traditional camping, experience. So he knew he had to do it a little bit differently, and he had the first refrigerated truck in Africa, and of course that was so he could keep the champagne and caviar chilled, for the guests when they were out in the bush, searching for lions and lion and giraffe and hippo, and he borrowed his mother's silver service from her dining room, and between that and the champagne and caviar, luxury tented safaris were born. Wow. So we really started that trend and the pioneer in getting people to go out and, view the animals and the environment through the lens of a camera and just enjoy themselves. So yeah, and since then, oh my gosh, Rodney, we started with that one office and we expanded to Egypt, we expanded to India, to Asia, and now we take us to well over 100 countries around the world and all 7 continents in those last 62 years. So it's been an exciting ride, and we're still, still growing.
I looked this morning. We have clients that are doing a Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand trip. We've got clients that are in Africa. We got clients all over the globe this morning with Abercrombie and Kent. But there's some really exciting new stuff. I mean, not to discount the 65 plus years of history you have, but you guys did something very, very unique. I'm guessing it was like 18 to 24 months ago when you talked to, I guess it was a bankruptcy judge to negotiate the purchase of a couple of assets that are going to change your world.
Most definitely. So we were so excited. I'll tell you, our owner and chairman, Manfredi Lefebvre Davidio, he and Jeffrey Kent have been longtime friends. Manfredi bought into Abercrombie and Kent, and the two of them co-own the company now. So I love that we are, we're not public. We're owned by two pioneers, two incredible leaders in the luxury space, right? Luxury travel space. Jeffrey's specialty was land at that time, and Manfredi, ocean, because his father founded Sitmar Cruise Lines, if you've got any listeners that are familiar with or ever cruised on Sitmar. And then the family went on to found Silver Sea Cruise Lines. And then Manfredi sold Silver Sea, has been fully involved in Abercrombie and Kent, but he is a cruiser at heart. He loves cruising. So when the opportunity arose, when Crystal went through their unfortunate bankruptcy, the opportunity arose for Manfredi to jump back into the cruise world and to do it by resurrecting and bringing back this beloved company that people were so incredibly loyal to. And he purchased the two Crystal ships that really built the brand and that extreme loyalty, and that's Crystal Symphony and Crystal Serenity, and was fortunate enough through the proceedings, the bankruptcy proceedings, to be able to purchase the brand name as well. So we really are committed. We have brought this company and this cruise experience back to life. And it's been so exciting to see guests back on board. Our first sailing was last July 31st. And then we've been back full force since then.
Well, Kim, I know you're going to find it hard to believe, but we actually have some folks that are probably watching down this that have never traveled with Abercrombie and Kent or Crystal Cruises. Can you give them some idea of the experience they can expect? Not just the fact that they're luxury, but the extra touch that Abercrombie and Kent and Crystal put on top, the icing on the cake, if you will. First,
we'll talk A&K first. And I think the first thing to know about Abercrombie and Kent is that we're a very unique company in the luxury touring space. And what makes us different is that we are not a U.S. Tour operator that subcontracts out all of our services around the world. We are in the unique position of owning our own offices on the ground in places like Egypt and Africa and South America, all over. So for your clients, when they're traveling, they're not only traveling with the tour operator, but they are traveling with the company that delivers the services on the ground. What does that mean? That means we control the experience, and your clients know the level of quality and the level of experience they'll have around the globe will be the same, no matter where they go with A&K. So having those offices on the ground with, their ear to the ground, they know what's happening. We can react quickly when situations come up. And in today's travel environment, that's really important, right? But from the, experience standpoint as well, a key thing is our guides. We employ locals. So for us, it's very important that our clients have a more authentic experience, and they can have conversations with someone who's been born and raised in the area. They understand whether it's the political climate, they understand the traditions of the area, the history of the area. If we've got a doctor and her husband on tour and she wants to learn about the healthcare system, they're happy to talk about that. But those local guides are top notch. They make a huge difference. And then it's the little special experiences that we add. And I'll give you an example of one. On our group journeys, right? Most people think about a group tour as you're sitting on this big motor coach with, 40 other people, and you're just, you're looking at places through the window. You get off and you rush through and you shuttle through, you tick off the museum, you tick off the next monument. We do things a little bit differently, at A&K. So our groups are very small and intimate, 14 to 16 people. And I had the pleasure of traveling in one of those groups in May last year to Brazil, one of our newest group journey destinations. And when we landed, we went to Salvador de Bahia, which is the first capital of Brazil, colonial influence. Then we went to Iguazu Falls, which was amazing, did a jet boat ride under the falls. But we landed in Rio, and instead of taking our clients by motor coach up to the base of Christ the Redeemer, very iconic experience, and, fighting the crowds so everybody can get that selfie picture for Instagram. We instead we land, we have lunch at a beautiful churrascaria overlooking the water. Then we take our guests to the helicopter landing pad We jump into the helicopters and we tour Christ the Redeemer at sunset by air. It is such an amazing experience.
I just got
So,
chill bumps.
oh my gosh. I wish I could share a video right now. It was just amazing. But that's those little touches, that's not an upcharge for A&K. That's included. So those unique things and those special things are really what make us different.
Well, you definitely are different, and that is an experience I can't wait to have myself. How's the partnership working between A&K and Crystal, and how do you expand and take advantage of these two great brands now being interwoven in sister companies?
Sure, it's really exciting. I tell folks I get to have 1 foot on land and 1 foot at sea, by working with both companies. And, we both have very loyal clientele. And so we are leveraging the fact that Crystal has really been synonymous with exceptional service since their inception. 25 years of award winner, top luxury cruise line. So we have similar strategies, which is the client comes first. It's about the service. With Crystal, it's all about the service. I talked about the resident guides at A&K. With Crystal, it's the team on board. We were able to have 83% of the former onboard family come back to Crystal. They could not wait to come back and serve our guests again.
That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think that speaks volumes, to the company. So what we're able to do now, when Crystal is out on some of their amazing itineraries that we have, our ships travel around the world. We don't traditionally home port in one area and do like full seasons. We keep those ships moving to provide our guests all these unique destinations around the world. And what's great now is that, rather than a third-party shore excursion operator or land operator, Abercrombie and Kent, moving forward, will be providing unique shore excursions on those Crystal cruises. And one of my favorite things is, for instance, I'll give you a great example on next year's World Cruise, 2025 World Cruise, which is open, for sale. We just opened 26 World Cruise as well. But on 25 is where you'll really start seeing some of the synergies between our companies come together, because on that World Cruise, we'll be providing overlands. A&K will be providing overland journeys for clients along the course of the cruise. So for instance, when the ship comes around and it gets to India, you can get off the vessel, you take a 3-day Abercrombie and Kent tour, you'll go, inland in India, you'll get to see the Taj Mahal, you'll go tiger trekking, and then you rejoin the ship at the next port of call. So the same thing when we get to Peru. You can get off at one port of call, you leave all your luggage on, you just take your little 4-day bag, overnight bag with you. We'll head off, we'll go up to Machu Picchu, we'll come down the Sacred Valley and then rejoin the ship again in the next port of call. So, and that's all curated by A&K. So you've got the best at sea and the best by land in one experience.
I gotta believe that long term is going to give you a huge leg up on a lot of your competitors, to have the luxury and the unbelievable attitude, treatment, experience on Crystal Cruises, and then to jump off the ship and have Abercrombie catch you and take you to all the places the ship can't go to. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, big advantage, definitely. And our customers, your customers, our travel advisor friends are, everyone's just so excited, about this partnership. And it's fun to see that, it's very energizing. And, we're really starting to work on getting the word out now on what those land experiences will be moving forward in 25. So this year is a transition year for us, as we've just started sailing last year, but then moving forward we'll be integrated for sure.
Well, rumor has it that there's also some new ships coming. Is that true?
It is very true. I'm very excited. I'll tell you, the Crystal loyalists has been asking for this for the longest time. When will Crystal have new ships? The former Crystal built some, river vessels, airplanes, a yacht, those kind of things. But our cruisers really love that traditional cruise experience,
Yep.
that luxury cruise experience. So we are building 4 new vessels between now and 2029. We'll be launching 4 new vessels. 2 of those vessels will be traditional ocean cruisers, and 2 of them will be expedition vessels. So small, intimate. We'll be able to take our guests. To Antarctica and to the Arctic and to Papua New Guinea and just remote places around the world on these expedition vessels.
Wow, you're really in an exciting place in time right now, Kim. I'm envious of you. You guys have been creating luxury trips as A&K for over 60 years. Is there anything new other than Crystal and other than this? I mean, I can't think of what you can do to top all this, but
exactly, it's kind of like, well, it's 62 years. Is there anything different you can do? I talked about that Brazil trip, and I think one of the things clients will see when you're working with A&K these days is that rather than those group tours where you are if it's Thursday it must be Rome kind of thing, so you're hitting 4 different 4 countries in 10 days and one night here and 2 nights there, you'll start seeing a lot of standalone single country experiences, so we can dig in deeper, spend 3 nights in a city and really get the feel for it. So that Brazil trip is one of those, and that's also a newer office for us. But we've opened new offices in Colombia, in Namibia. We have more new offices coming. So those destinations now we are offering experiences in. But even, I'll give you Portugal as an example, right? Portugal's hot. People have been the last 2 years. I went myself in 2022. It's just such a great destination. It's such a great value. And when people go, they want to go back again. So we've introduced a new trip to Portugal, but instead of mainland Portugal, it's going to the Azores and Madeira Island.
Oh, wow.
And really incredible. A lot of people don't even know about Madeira or the Azores or where they are, or the fact that it's part of Portugal. But these islands are located off the coast of Africa, off the coast of Morocco, in the Atlantic, and they're just stunning. People call Madeira, they're 2 different experiences. People call Madeira the Hawaii of Europe. And it's true. That's where I was 2 years ago. And it's just, you've got 8 different microclimates on this one small island. Incredible foliage and beautiful flowers. If you go in May, you can experience the Madeira Flower Festival, which is just stunning. And then the Azores is more of a beach experience. So your clients get a little bit of both there. But even, Uganda, we're doing standalone safaris in Uganda now. Most people think about that as just go to Uganda for the gorilla trekking pre or post safari in East Africa or Southern Africa. But it's a fantastic standalone destination. I mean, Queen Victoria Park, you get your full Big 5 experience there. And then you get the gorilla trekking as well. Oh my gosh, there's so many new things that we're doing. Rodney, these great wings programs that we're doing, small private jet journeys in regional areas for just 12 people. So those are really exciting too.
I don't know how you keep up with all of it, Kim. I really don't. Hey, you've been in travel for 30 plus years. Are there any new trends that you're seeing from a destination perspective? I mean, pardon?
I said, shh, don't tell anyone.
Okay, well, we'll edit that part out. You mentioned the Azores and a couple of other places. Are you seeing any other new areas, from a perspective, places that people probably haven't thought of? Because as a travel advisor, and we have 10 ladies in our office and over 200 years of experience, we're always looking for the new thing, because so many of our clients have, been there, done that, and we're always looking for new things. And I think the luxury travel is looking for more adventure these days than ever.
Perfect. You're absolutely right. So an example of that would be, and I'm not married to Brazil, I promise. I'm married to a Brazilian, but not Brazil as a destination. But there is, so for those wildlife lovers, right? Perhaps you've done Africa, you've done East Africa, you've done Southern Africa, but you just love that experience of being in nature and seeing the wildlife. The Pantanal area of Brazil, is incredible. You have some of the most colorful, amazing bird life there, great for birders. You will get to see the capybara. If anybody knows what a capybara is actually a rat, but it's the cutest darn rat I've ever seen. It's about this big and 3 foot tall, and they're just they're so adorable. I fell in love with them. But you will also see the crocs, and this is where you'll see jaguars. So just incredible, big, beautiful, majestic jaguars in that area. So it's a really great alternative and newer destination for people looking for wildlife experiences. That's one of them. I mentioned that Colombia, Colombia has a growing interest, and it's really starting to, people are starting to go. So I would recommend, being one of the first to go back to Colombia before it gets crowded with tourists, because it's an easy flight from the States, and
Yep.
Colombia has gone through this major social transformation from what people usually associate Colombia with, So now, like places like Medellin, for instance, where folks would normally think cartels and things like that, it's now the art capital of Colombia. Beautiful street art, yeah. And A&K has, here's an example of something you asked earlier in the program, is those unique touches. Well, A&K has a relationship with Leo Espinosa. She is the #1 rated female chef in the world, and her restaurant is in Bogota, Colombia. So we can arrange a chef's table with Leo, or we can arrange a cooking lesson with her when you're in Colombia. So one of those unique experiences that only A&K can offer.
So A&K gives the sophisticated luxury travel, I call it bragging rights, to come back and say, I've been there and done that already.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
Kim, let's go back to Crystal for a minute. I know you guys spent a fortune after you bought the 2 Crystal ships on refurbishing. Tell everybody about that a little bit, especially for people that have been on Crystal before and know that experience and know that those ships were just refurbished, 3 or 4 years before you purchased them. So what have you done to make it different?
So I would say the biggest and most significant change and meaningful change is that we took a vessel, Crystal Serenity, for instance, that carried 1,040 guests, and we literally took decks of staterooms and took them down to the steel and redesigned and rebuilt. So now the ship only carries 740 guests. So we took a 30% reduction in the number of guests, but we did not reduce the crew, for instance. So it increased our experience to nearly 1 crew member for every guest on board. So that speaks to that high service that we talked about. But what we did is we took, in taking those decks down to the steel, we took 2 staterooms and turned them into 1. Or we took 3 staterooms and turned them into 2. So you have larger space. We have these beautiful, I think my favorite category is the Sapphire Veranda Suites. Mm-hmm. And you've got the 2, it's double space. So you have a private sitting area, a large balcony, walk-in closets, a dining table in the room. The former Crystal, I would say their Achilles heel, was stateroom size. They had a lot of staterooms that were smaller,
Yes.
215 square feet. So now we're talking about a stateroom that's 430 square feet. So that's been a huge change. We also, go ahead.
They do that for the Symphony as well?
Yes, we did. So Symphony is now just over 600 guests. So yeah,
Wow.
It's really.
And that was 1,000 also, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it sure was. You know what? So I'm going to tell you something. The way I think about it is, I think of Crystal and I apply the Goldilocks principle to Crystal. This ship's too big. This ship's too small. Crystal's just right. And that's because even though we're only carrying those small amounts of passengers, like a smaller ship, we're big enough that we have, 11 different dining experiences. We have incredible entertainment. So you're going to have the Broadway reviews, you'll have singers. What I love is that rather than recorded music being played into the lounges, when you go to Crystal Cove in the atrium for a pre-dinner drink, you'll have, an acoustic guitar player there, or the piano player, incredible band. We've got a sing-along piano bar that is, that's the place to be late at night, and a dance club if anybody wants to get their groove on, So there's just so many options for entertainment, and outdoor spaces too, and we enhanced all of it.
Well, Crystal's always been known for the ballroom experience, and I understand you've brought that back as well.
Yes, so we have our ambassador hosts that travel with us.
Yes.
And, both men and ladies. And it's great. For solo travelers, I think we're one of the friendliest lines for solo travelers. So
definitely are.
If you enjoy dancing, there's always someone, to dance with then, and they teach classes, and, they attend dinners, so it's a great group to have, the ambassador hosts. But, it's not just for solo travelers. I was sailing once with a girlfriend and her husband, and it was the three of us, and he didn't care to dance, at all. So he would drop us off in the evening after dinner, and he would go have his cigar and cognac in the cigar room and let the gentleman host dance with us, instead of him. So we all enjoyed the trip that way.
Well, that's the one thing about Manfredi. If you're on a Manfredi ship, there's going to be a cigar available somewhere in an appropriate environment to smoke it.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, Tim, I got two more questions for you, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Okay.
Of all the experiences you've had with A&K over your time with them, what's your favorite A&K experience? And then I'm going to circle back and ask you a similar question about Crystal.
That, Rodney, how dare you? That's like asking, what your favorite child is. Who's your favorite child?
Well, it's the one that's with you, right?
Yes, exactly. Absolute top right now of my most recent A&K trips is Antarctica. It's really like a whole different world. And going to Antarctica really touches you in your heart, and in your head. You see this incredible scenery, how pristine and how peaceful and quiet the world can be, these animals in their natural environment, and it just grabs you. It's unlike any other travel experience, and we offer that. We do Antarctica in December and January. So we have a full expedition ship staffed by A&K experts that takes our clients down there, and to walk among the king penguins that are 3 foot tall, and there's no fear because they have no predators on land.
Right.
So they'll walk right up to you, and it's just so special. And so few people on the planet ever get to experience this. So I would suggest clients thinking about that. It's a great multi-gen trip for holidays as well, because we've got a Young Explorers program on, and there were certainly, some really fun multi-gen families on my trip.
I remember the first time we met, I guess it was probably 3 years ago, and you talked about travel being transformational. And I followed you on that Antarctica trip on social media, and I've got to believe that had to be one of the most transformational experiences you ever had.
Yeah, it really was. It does make you think about, how fragile, the world that we live in is. And seeing these animals and the conditions that they survive in and understand. And it reminds you just how special, the world is, and that you want to get out and travel and see it and experience it, because it does change. It makes you think about the way you do things every day. Actually, it impacts.
Yeah. Okay, same question for Crystal, and then we're going to unfortunately have to say goodbye. I could sit here and talk with you all day, Kim, as you well know.
Yeah, me too. I love what I do, and it's always fun to talk about destinations and experiences. So, for Crystal, I would have to say I really, really love sailing Crystal in the Med. Just those beautiful Mediterranean ports that we hit, sailing around, around Italy, sailing into Monaco, which is where our home office and where Manfredi and Jeffrey Kent, reside. There's just something special about having that luxury experience and sailing those beautiful coastlines and islands in the Mediterranean, and getting to Santorini and Mykonos, and really actually some of the smaller Greek isles I love, like Patmos. And but I did Athens to Istanbul last September when the ship came out, and what a fantastic treat. We went through some of the smaller islands in Greece, hit Santorini, and then spent time in Istanbul, and the ship overnights there so you can get out to the Grand Bazaar. Istanbul's such an interesting city. I can't wait to go back.
Wow. I've got a whole list of must-dos now just from our time together. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you being with us today, because I know how busy your schedule is, and I appreciate you taking the time to share your wisdom with our listeners out there, and hopefully you stirred up some interest at people who want to take a peek behind the curtain at Crystal and Abercrombie and Kent.
Thank you, Rodney. I wouldn't miss an opportunity to work with you and your guests, and we really just scratched the surface. So yeah, please take a peek. With Rodney and his team, we'd love to have you see the experiences that we can offer. So thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. Have a wonderful day and safe travels, my good friend.
Take care.
Bye for now.
Thanks for joining us on the Luxury Travelers Podcast. For more information, head on over to luxurytravelerspodcast.com to connect with our team or leave us a message. Until next time, safe travels and savor the extraordinary.